Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on Cross Canada and the Rockies Rail Vacations. I'm super excited for you all joining us today's webinar. And again, I am your host, Tyler Wallinger. I will be your virtual train conductor as well as host, taking you on this magical journey across Canada and also traveling through the Canadian Rockies. So welcome aboard, everyone. As we're pulling out of the virtual train station, I just want to let you know what we'll be covering today. So first, we're going to be talking about why is it important for you all to book with Railbookers. We'll talk about how VRail is adapting to provide a safe environment during this time. We'll even cover what the accommodations look like on board the train, as well as the benefits of upgrading to those private sleeping accommodations. Now, folks, if this is your first time attending today's webinar, welcome aboard, and thank you so much for traveling on this virtual train journey of ours. But I want to know where you all are joining from today. So if you don't mind sharing where you're all joining from today's webinar, I would greatly appreciate that. Oh, someone already mentioned Sacramento, California. Thank you so much. Keep them coming, folks. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, great. Keep them coming, folks. So I want to like to know where you all are joining from today for today's webinar. Awesome. Thank you so much, Florida. Thank you. Keep them coming. And folks, just again, as you continue to flood in your answers for me, I just want to let you know that our Yankee Leisure Group brands. So the first brand we're going to be talking about is Yankee Holidays. So Yankee Holidays is our drive-in brand vacation itinerary package, where we of course include the rental car services, transfers, hotel accommodations in those popular getaway destinations such as Seattle, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., New Orleans, just to name a few, but including also those popular U.S. national parks such as Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, Glacier National Park, and many others. And then we also include sightseeing tour experiences throughout those popular destinations and national parks. We include sometimes meal experiences as well as show tickets. That's all provided with Yankee Holidays. And then our sister brand here on the left, folks, is going to be Amtrak Vacations. Now, Amtrak Vacations is very similar to Yankee Holidays, but we include the rail component, which is the Amtrak rail system that provides 30 different rail routes throughout the U.S., throughout the 46 of the 48 continental U.S. states, and also there's over 500 plus Amtrak stations to choose from for your next domestic rail vacation experience. But today, folks, we'll be talking about a little bit about Railbookers, particularly in Canada. But Railbookers not only services Canada, but also Alaska, Europe, Asia, Africa, and beyond. We do everything from Alaska Railroad. We're going to talk about the VRail Canadian Rocky Mountaineer services today. You can also even travel across Europe and see some popular destinations such as Italy, Switzerland, and see great scenic journeys like the Glacier and the Bernina Express when traveling through the Swiss Alps. We even provide also luxury train experiences like the Venice Simplon Orient Express, the Royal Scotsman, even the Harry Potter Jacobite steam train up in Scotland, and so many great other experiences with Railbookers. Now, folks, why do travelers love Railbookers? Well, I'm going to tell you. Number one, we could book any of our rail vacation packages up to 24 months in advance, folks. 24 months in advance. We offer bucket list experiences for any special occasion. Either you're traveling for a special anniversary, or maybe it's a honeymoon. Maybe you're traveling for, you just graduated from university. Whatever that may be, there's always a bucket list experience for every person. And we provide you with the freedom and flexibility to do whatever you look for with any of our packages. We can customize it based upon what your needs are. And also, by the way, traveling by train is the scenic way to travel, in my personal opinion, not just as a rail enthusiast, folks, but you get to be able to see all of the countryside. You get to be able to see those national monuments, those national parks up close in person by train. And the great thing is you can deposit now with a small deposit and pay later before that final payment due date. Some people make even monthly payments if they wish. You can even choose your own accommodations from 3, 4, and 5-star hotel options, including also accommodations on board the train. We also have all of our itineraries, as I mentioned before, are fully customizable, so we can tailor make them based upon what you're looking for to provide you with a perfect dream vacation by rail. And folks, we have a 24-hour support staff here to service you when you're looking to plan your vacation and even when you're traveling. Our 24-hour support staff from all of our global offices from Canada down to the US and California and Massachusetts. We also have offices in London, UK, and even down south in Sydney, Australia. Folks, I want to talk about for just a quick, brief moment is our maximum flexibility offer. Now, our maximum flexibility offer allows you to feel with confidence if I book a rail vacation with Railbookers or Amtrak Vacations right now, I can still make changes to my travel dates, or I can even cancel my rail vacation up to 5 days prior to departure, folks. That's right, 5 days prior to departure. You heard me right, 5 days. And that also goes for an existing reservation. So if you have an existing reservation with Railbookers or Amtrak Vacations, you can reschedule up to 5 days prior to departure date, folks. And we are withholding any change or cancellation fee at this time. So we're waiving all fees at this time. But this offer, folks, is only valid between now and March 31st of this year. So if this is something that you're looking to do, take it while it's hot, because this offer is only valid between this short period of time. And this is a great way for you to feel confident. Know if I need to make any changes, you can do so. So that's going to be our maximum flexibility offer, folks. And I want to talk about now how Canada by train is made easy with Railbookers. So Rail Vacations is actually a sub-brand of Railbookers, and we make traveling by train easy throughout Canada due to our direct rail partnership with VRail. We get exclusive access, folks, for over a year before it is released to the public. So all pricing and availability is released a year prior to us. Actually, we have access to all of it up to 2 years in advance before the public can even see that. So that's a great reason why people love booking with Railbookers. Just one of the great reasons. And what does Railbookers offer? Well, everything under the sun. We have everything from confirmed seat reservations on those scenic journeys. We provide sightseeing activity experiences that are either independently guided, semi-guided, or fully private tours. We also have hotel options to choose from 3, 4, and 5-star hotels. We offer ferry transfers, which we'll explore a little bit today. For example, from Vancouver to Victoria itself on the BC ferry. We'll even talk about some of those other excursions that are included in our packages, as well as the overnight rail journeys. All this can be booked with Railbookers and so much more. And as a reminder, folks, for those of you just may have joined a few minutes later, we can book any of our rail vacation packages as early as tomorrow, up to 2 years in advance. So how is VRail maintaining a safe environment during this time? I'm going to tell you, folks. Number one, they've increased the cleaning on board the trains and at the stations themselves. They're following specific guidelines provided by the Canadian government to make sure that they continue to be safe and reliable when traveling across those Canadian provinces, as well as passengers traveling through those train stations. They also have hand sanitizer distribution centers at key points throughout the train station and on board the trains. They also have health checkpoints prior to boarding for all customers. So they'll of course do a health screening to make sure that you're healthy and you're following those guidelines before boarding the train. Masks are also recommended for all passengers as well as staff. Physical distancing on board the trains and reduced capacity. So again, following those guidelines. And then also, as I mentioned, with the reduced capacity, some of these trains are only filling up to 50% or less capacity to keep up with the social distancing. And they also have modified meal service on board the trains. And lastly, the corridor trains, which is the Northeastern Corridor service that we just saw here, folks. Sorry, for just a moment on the map, it's going to be that Eastern Corridor service that travels from Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Quebec City. That's that corridor service. They are in full operation at this time. And folks, we know these train systems, not just in Canada, but Alaska, Europe, Asia, Africa, and beyond, because we've gone them ourselves. Even myself, I've traveled on the VRail Canadian, and it's a wonderful experience that I was very blessed to be able to do with Railbookers and actually get to see some of these popular destinations, such as Vancouver, Jasper, and Banff National Park, which we'll be talking about today. Now, folks, you're probably asking, well, Tyler, when is the best time to travel through Canada? I want to know when's the best time. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, every month is a good time to travel on VRail because VRail operates year-round. But the best time, sometimes for some people, whatever they're depending on looking for, it just depends upon what their needs are. But sometimes if you're interested in local wildlife and you want to be able to see when wildlife and plant life are the most active, travel to Canada and the Canadian Rockies versus August through September. Probably the most popular time to travel for a lot of people are actually going to be traveling through June through September, basically that summer season when everyone's out of school, everyone's being able to travel and be able to explore all of the Canadian Rockies and also throughout Eastern Canada. It's a very popular time to travel, but there are also some great times for you to explore during the winter season. It's actually a little bit less traveled by most customers, and actually the winter season is probably one of my personal favorites just because of the serenity and beautiful snowy views when you can be able to look on the train and actually explore the Canadian Rockies. Now, folks, the reason to travel through Canada by train, there's so many multiple reasons, but I'm going to give you a few. Number one, because travel is not just about the destination, It's about the voyage. I know you probably, for those of you who are rail enthusiasts out there, hopefully you might have seen the Polar Express. Remember the famous conductor saying, "It's not about it's not about where you're going. It's a matter if you get on." And that's sometimes truly what it means. Is when you get on board the train, you get that bygone experience. You get to be able to travel and see things that you may not ever see if you're driving or if you're taking a cruise. It's all by train, and that's part of the that rail experience that people are looking for this year into next year. And also, of course, too, folks, you can combine an urban escape, so traveling to Toronto or Montreal, and going to those outdoor getaways like Jasper and Banff National Park. Did you know that actually the Via Rail system is very proud of their train service because they're the greenest way of travel? So they're the greenest way to travel. They take such great precautions of maintaining a safe environment and natural gases and fuels to be able to operate traveling across Canada. Also, with the train, you can go to places, as I mentioned, where the cars or boats can't. So offering some of these scenic views in all of North America, Canada is excellent when it comes to its long distance network. It is a great way to experience all the best of this incredible country, from the pristine beauty of the Canadian Rockies to the dynamic big cities of East and West Coast. Via Rail operates 494 trains per week in the 8 Canadian provinces over a network of 7,800 miles of track. It's impressive. So whether you can travel on Via Rail's classic transcontinental train, which is the Canadian, from Toronto to Winnipeg, Edmonton, Jasper, and Vancouver, we also offer intercity trains, as I mentioned, on the corridor service from Niagara Falls up to Montreal, Ottawa, Quebec City, and then even, of course, the ocean train, which travels from Montreal all the way over Halifax and be able to explore the maritime provinces before you head into Halifax. All of this, part of your experience will be including fresh meals cooked on board the train, comfortability in those cabin accommodations, relaxing amenities, and spectacular views throughout. That's why you should plan on taking a rail vacation for Canada, either for this year or for 2022. Now, folks, we're going to talk about the Canadian Rail Experience Package. This is a 8-day package starting in Toronto and ends in Vancouver. This is particularly the experience about wanting to do the train, traveling on the Canadian and its full-length route from Toronto to Vancouver. And it passes through 5 of the Canadian provinces: Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia. When you're traveling from Toronto over to Winnipeg, which is right in Manitoba, you'll be traveling through some pristine lakes, such as the Great Northern Lakes, as you can see here, folks. You're going to travel through some alpine scenery, mountain backdrops that are filled with snow. All this is going to be seen when you're traveling between those 3 provinces. Or sorry, 2 provinces, Ontario to Manitoba. And then when you're traveling from Manitoba over through Saskatchewan, you're going to be traveling through the flatlands, the agricultural region of Canada, before you head into the province of Alberta. So from Edmonton to Vancouver, that's going to be traveling through the Canadian Rockies and seeing that lush forest greenery, that alpine scenery that is just sometimes one of the freshest and clean air around before you head over to the Pacific Northwest of Vancouver. And again, this is all experienced on our Canadian Rail Experience from Toronto to Vancouver. It starts at $1,599. So it starts off with a one-night hotel accommodation in Toronto, where we provide hotel stays there right next to Toronto Union Station. And we also provide sightseeing experience for you to be able to explore the city of Toronto for the day. We also recommend for you to be able to check out the CN Tower. So for those of you who may not know, CN is actually Canadian National Railway. It's a freight service system that operates throughout Canada and provides those goods and services to those 8 Canadian provinces. But they dedicated this wonderful masterpiece, which is the CN Tower. It gives a 360-degree view of the city, and you can actually have lunch and dinner at the top. So again, a great way for you to get a dining experience and a sightseeing tour in one. And then after your time exploring Toronto, you'll head on board the Via Rail Canadian train, traveling 4 nights on board before you arrive to the Pacific Northwest of Vancouver. Now, we provide 2 nights hotel accommodations in Vancouver, where you could be able to explore the city of Vancouver. And one of our most popular attractions I highly recommend is the Capilano Suspension Park Bridge, as well as Clifftop Adventure and Treetop Experience. So again, this is all part of that package. And the reason why I recommend this particular sightseeing tour experience, folks, is because this sightseeing tour is ranked as #1 attraction in Vancouver. Why? Because you get to be able to explore the treetops. You get to be able to see, why British Columbia is so famous. You get to be able to travel over the famous Capilano Suspension Bridge. You get to see different nature walks, different types of experiences, all part in this sightseeing tour. And for those who are actually traveling during the winter, I highly recommend that this experience, because they actually light up the entire park, as well as the bridges, the attraction walks, all that stuff is going to be lit up with Christmas lights, and they have music and they have caroling. It's truly a remarkable experience, and I highly recommend that if you're traveling during the winter season. So definitely check that out, folks. Now we're going to be talking about what life is like on board the VRAIL Canadian train. So of course, we're going to be talking about the classes of service here, folks, for just a moment. So the first class is going to be economy class. Now, economy class is going to be your basic sleeping accommodation, as well as a decent accommodation during the day. It is nice, comfortable seats, as you can see here, that fold down to a 45-degree angle. You also have access to the economy observation dome car, which of course is available for all economy passengers. They also do provide pillows and blankets for you to be able to take available of. And then also too, you can purchase meals on board the train. But folks, I want to mention here with economy class, the only downfall of that is going to be that you won't have access to a shower when you're traveling on board the train. Hence the reason why we recommend upgrading to those private sleeping accommodations on board. So the sleeping accommodations are, their category is called Sleeper Plus. Now, Sleeper Plus, basically within those categories, is going to be berths, which we'll talk about in just a moment, cabin for one or cabin for two, and then prestige class. Now, the berths are going to be here, which is the most economical sleeping accommodation option, folks. For those of you who may not be aware, the berths are going to be basically two couchettes facing one another during the day, and then it's going to be a bunk bed style configuration at night, which is transformed by the cabin steward. You also have, again, access to a nice big picturesque window, as you can see here, to be able to view all the Canadian scenery as you're traveling on board the train. You also will have access to your own private, to the restroom and shower facility right on the car. And then all of your meals are included, so both breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then also includes non-alcoholic beverages as well. So that's going to be with a berths accommodation. But for those who want a little bit more privacy and their own lockable door, I recommend either upgrading to the cabin for one for solo travelers. So if you're traveling solo, you can actually upgrade to the cabin for one. It's a private accommodation with an own lockable door. You also have a big picturesque window during the day to be able to enjoy those views. You also have access, again, to a nice, comfortable relaxation lounge sharing during the day, and that converts into a lower berth at night. You also have your own vanity as well as in-room suite, ensuite. And then across the hall is the private shower access for the cabin accommodations. And then above that is going to be the cabin for two. Now, the cabin for two is a great option for those who are traveling with a significant other, maybe for a special occasion, maybe you're traveling with your family. You can also upgrade what's called a cabin for two suite. Now, the cabin for two suite is basically two cabin for twos with an interconnecting door, as you could see here, folks. So again, to be able to make sure you can spend time with your family. But on board in the cabin for two is basically two chairs during the day, and then a bunk bed style configuration at night, very luxurious, as you can see here. And then you have your own private bathroom included in the cabin, as well as vanity, and then private shower access across the car. And then all of your meals are included. That's including breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as well as non-alcoholic beverages. But the pièce de résistance, folks, is going to be the prestige class. Now, the prestige class is definitely going to be on a lot of people's bucket lists. This is going to be the most luxurious accommodation on board the VRAIL Canadian train, and it's going to be an L-shaped couchette during the day and a nice Queen Murphy bed for two at night. You also have your own dedicated concierge that is there to serve you from the moment you board the train to the moment you depart, again, giving that little extra amount of luxury. Then you also have your own in-bar, mini bar and fridge included in your cabin, so you can have you help yourselves to those condiments. You also have your own flat screen TV to be able to watch TV or movies in your cabin as well. And by the way, folks, too, the big picturesque window here, that's actually 50% larger than all the other cabins' windows combined. So just want to let you know about that. Also, this is the only cabin that has its own private bathroom ensuite with shower included. So if you're looking to have that extra luxury accommodation, the prestige class is definitely the way to go. And then, folks, for those who upgrade to prestige class, you also have access to the park car, which is the last car on the train where you can be able to have access to the bar area, which is only for prestige class members. And by the way, as I mentioned, for all Super Plus passengers, your meals are included, but for prestige class, you get both non-alcoholic and alcohol beverages included. So again, a little extra amenity benefits when upgrading to prestige class. And then for that, you also have access to the Bolt Lounge area there, so you can be able to check out the beautiful views as you're passing through on the train. And you also have access to your own private observation dome car for the prestige class members. That's all part of the prestige class experience. Now, folks, on board the train, I'm going to talk about the dining on board. So dining on board the train is definitely a significant experience for those who've never done it before. It's like dining on literally at a nice 4-star restaurant on wheels as you're passing through different scenery. All of the meals on board the train, all the cuisine is freshly cooked and prepared by the Via Rail chefs, and they use only local ingredients en route when they're traveling from Toronto to Vancouver or vice versa. And they also have dietary options as well. So if you have gluten-free, it require gluten-free options or maybe vegan options, they do provide that. And please let our travel consultants know. That way, of course, we can plan that for you as well. And you can also contact your local travel advisor as well. So that way, of course, we can plan that out for you. But dining on board, as I mentioned, is definitely going to be a nice experience, like dining in a 4-star restaurant. Everything from the fine china to the silverware, even the glassware. And I highly recommend nicely to prepare to pair that dish that you have for the evening or lunch to maybe with a glass of wine. And by the way, folks, some of these wines are actually locally sourced there in Canada. So a great way for you to be able to enjoy a nice meal while dining on board the train. Now, folks, we're going to be talking about the best of Eastern Canada. So we're going to be traveling up north through the Canadian provinces of Quebec and Nova Scotia into Halifax. So this is a 9-day package starting at $1,049. It includes your travel on the corridor service as well as the Vira Ocean train from Quebec City over to Halifax. And you'll be traveling, of course, through different types of regions when you're traveling through the cities, the high sky rises up to Montreal. You pass through a couple different lakes and then head out over even further north to Quebec City, again, going through those Canadian provinces there. And then also traveling up through the overnight train on the ocean, traveling through New Brunswick, Moncton area, through Nova Scotia, ending in Halifax. And this is definitely going to be more of that kind of that coastal kind of view on the train. So you're going to see some beaches, you're going to see some rivers and lakes, some fly fishing in the morning. You'll see all of that on board the Vira Ocean train. But the package starts in Niagara Falls, so of course the 7th wonder of the world. Over 3 million visitors each year visit Niagara Falls as a kind of a national monument to both the Canadian and the U.S. side. But in this instance, you'll be staying on the Canadian side with us, and we provide hotel accommodations right along the area by Niagara Falls on the Canadian side. So if you're looking for a falls view room, we can definitely provide that for you. And we also provide sightseeing experiences such as, with the Wago Pass, where you can be able to get to check out the falls during the day when exploring Niagara Falls. And also, too, we also provide dining experiences where you can be able to get a nice view of Niagara Falls at evening, and they also sometimes do a fireworks show. So that's a great experience we can definitely add on for you as well. And folks, after your time exploring Niagara Falls, you head up even further up to Montreal, which is kind of that French-speaking province. And both actually, Montreal and Quebec City are more that French-speaking province, but it's got a lot more of that French-Canadian culture when exploring Montreal and Quebec City. We actually provide sightseeing tour experiences that show you those historical points of interest, as well as if you travel during a little bit of the fall, so right near the end of September, beginning of October, you could actually get to see the fall foliage during the time. Also, folks, when staying in Quebec City, I highly recommend checking out the Le Chateau Frontenac. It's a Fairmont property, so it's a bit of a 5-star luxury hotel. But if any luxury hotels you're staying at during this journey, I do recommend it be at the Fairmont Le Chateau Frontenac. This historical property definitely overtowers all of Quebec City, and we also provide sightseeing tour experiences, checking out the historical district as well as the surrounding areas of Quebec City. All this will be included in the package. And then after your time in Quebec City, you'll travel on the overnight train to Halifax and be able to explore the coastal region there of Nova Scotia. And Halifax is very popular for basically that seaside village experience. People, when they travel to Halifax, are definitely checking out Peggy's Cove, which is a sightseeing tour experience we recommend. You get to be able to see the local Peggy's Cove lighthouse. So check out the beach or coastal areas. There's also a way for you to be able to check out the Titanic Museum that's also in Halifax, which definitely features quite a bit of artifacts. Actually, the Titanic was sunk off the coast back in 1912. Of course, we'll never forget that day, you can be able to explore while staying in Halifax. But particularly one of my favorite things to suggest is actually trying out the local seafood, especially the lobster roll in Halifax. It is very, very good. So definitely check that out when exploring Halifax. Now, folks, we're talking about the Canadian Rockies Discovery Eastbound. So we're traveling from east to west now, and we're going to be exploring the provinces of British Columbia and also into Alberta, Canada. This is a 10-day package starting in Vancouver and ending in Calgary. So it includes 3 nights hotel accommodations in Vancouver. Then you'll travel on the famous VRL Canadian train as you're traveling up through the provinces of Alberta, going through the Canadian Rockies into Jasper National Park. And then once you arrive in Jasper National Park, you'll be provided with 2 nights hotel stay inside the national park, not outside, inside the national park. And then from there, we provide you with a transfer/sightseeing tour, which we'll talk about a little bit, transferring you from Jasper down to Bamf. You'll stop right along the way with Lake Louise. And then after your time exploring the gem of the Canadian Rockies, in my personal opinion, Banff, you'll then travel down to Calgary and with a 1-night stay before you fly in home. And this is all included with that 10-day package starting at $1,999. But folks, we do provide a ferry transfer experience traveling from Vancouver to Victoria, so you could be able to check out Vancouver Island. And when visiting Victoria, I highly recommend checking out the high tea experience at the Fairmont Empress. It's a personal suggestion of mine, as well as is definitely world renowned. The Fairmont Empress, has housed many different members of the royal family, and their tea room is definitely kind of that historical ambience of that British royalty. Obvious what you're looking for. But when you're dining at the tea room, I highly suggest the Diana Rose tea. Well, not only was it a favorite of Princess Diana, but also it's very, very good. It's a personal suggestion of mine. But there's multiple different options when it comes to tea to try when checking out the Fairmont Empress. But we also offer other experiences, such as going to Bouchard Gardens, where you can do a round trip experience from Vancouver to Bouchard Gardens by ferry. We even have an option where you could take the seaplane from Vancouver over to Victoria and do Bouchard Gardens, and then take a ferry back. So again, there's a lot of different options you can choose from when exploring Victoria for the day. And then, folks, after time exploring the Pacific Northwest, you'll head over to Jasper National Park, and you'll be staying there for 2 nights with us. Keep in mind, we can always add on or customize additional nights if you like to. But some of the popular things we actually recommend is actually our Jasper National Park tour. It includes a nice round trip experience that picks you up at your hotel and drops you right back off. And it's a full day tour where you could be able to explore those popular points of interest with a local guide who's a naturalist and point out the local wildlife to you, as well as you'll be able to have a nice relaxing cruise on Lake Mowling, which you'll see right here, folks. This is Mowling Lake, and it's absolutely pristine. One of my favorite parts, which I thought was interesting, was actually that teal blue color. It's actually that teal when you go over there. So even though, yes, you can see this in the picture, but sometimes pictures don't do it justice. It's something I would highly recommend. You can also even check out Pyramid Lake, which is nearby in the downtown area. It's about less than a 15-minute cab ride to check that out. And they actually have a historic whatchamacallit, I cannot think of the word now. I'm so sorry. Basically, kind of a nice little historic area where the people got married. So it's a nice little, it's a gazebo. I'm so sorry, a gazebo. It's a nice little historic gazebo there you can check out. I did that when I did one of my fam trips, and it was phenomenal. And also the locals in Jasper National Park are quite nice. They have handcrafted souvenirs that you could purchase at the downtown area. So definitely check that out, as well as some of the nice restaurants to enjoy. And then after time exploring Jasper National Park, you'll then travel down even further south to Banff, and you'll be able to stop by in Lake Louise. Keep in mind, folks, we can add on a night or two in Lake Louise if you like to this package. Keep that in mind. But folks, if you were to stay in Lake Louise, we do recommend staying at the Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise. This is classified as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, folks. This hotel has stand to the throughout time. It's been built back in the mid-1800s by the Canadian Pacific Railway, and they themselves, kind of established this property so that passengers that wanted to explore the Canadian Rockies can stay there at this wonderful hotel. And this is a great property option that I would recommend when staying at Lake Louise. Now, folks, we're going to talk about what customization looks like for your rail vacation. So just as I mentioned, we can add on any destination. We can make this a round trip experience. So if you want to start and end in Vancouver, no problem. We can definitely do that. Maybe you want to book this trip in reverse. Let's say you see a package that you like. It starts in one direction, but you want to take it another. we could definitely do that. We also have the option to upgrade your to private sleeping accommodations on board those overnight trains. So just definitely give us a call on that at 1-888-829-3040. Is that way you can be able to speak with one of our local travel consultants, or you can reach out to your local travel advisor as well. That way, of course, they can assist you with that request. And just as a reminder, folks, we can choose any of our hotel accommodations that you like, which is going to be 3, 4, and 5-star options. So again, you can stay anywhere from the Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise right here, which is a 5-star property, or you could stay like in a Hampton Inn Suites in Vancouver. Again, there's a plethora of options to choose from, depending on what your budget is. And then, folks, another great luxury experience we're talking about today is going to be the Canadian Rockies and the Lake Louise Explorer with Rocky Mountaineer. This is an 8-day trip starting in Vancouver and ends in Calgary, and the starting price is around $4,349. So if you're looking for another great train experience, which is going to be the Rocky Mountaineer, it travels between these two provinces of British Columbia and Alberta. This particular route is going to be the first passage of the West when you're traveling from Vancouver, which is the Pacific North region, up to, traveling through the kind of the alpine forestry region. You're going to be able to see some beautiful mountain backdrops. You'll be able to see Whistler Mountain around there when traveling up to Kamloops. Then you'll stay there for an overnight journey, and then which is provided by Rocky Mountaineer. Then the next day, you'll wake up early in the morning and travel through the Canadian Rockies, down through different reams, lakes, pristine mountain backdrop. It's world-renowned, heading over to Lake Louise. And then once you arrive in Lake Louise, we provide you with 2-night hotel accommodations there, and then heading down even further south to Banff National Park before you head on home from Calgary. But folks, the Rocky Mountaineer, as I mentioned, is a luxury train experience. So it's a day's train service. So it's not like the Vero, which is an overnight service. This is a day train service that does stop in Kamloops with the hotel accommodation provided for by Rocky Mountaineer. But on board the train, there's 2 classes of service. There's Silverleaf service, as you see here, folks. This is a single level carriage, that nice 360-degree view. You also have all of your meals included. So cuisine, which is freshly cooked and prepared on board the train, which will be breakfast, lunch the first day before you pull into Kamloops, and then both breakfast, lunch, and dinner before you pull into Lake Louise. Now, on board the train, they also have nice, comfortable leather seats, so you can be able to enjoy all the views of the Rockies, as well as other parts of British Columbia and the Alberta province. And also on board the train, they have a guide that talks to you about the history, the culture, those natural, points of interest, as well as local wildlife. That's all going to be taken care of by the guide on board the train. And the Rocky Mountaineer staff do an excellent job with their service. They're really well known for their outstanding service, providing a wonderful trip and experience for their passengers. But folks, I also want to recommend upgrading to the Gold Leaf service. Now, Gold Leaf service is going to be this bi-level carriage, as you can see here, folks. It's a bi-level basically means 2 levels to that car. And as you can see, you'll definitely be sitting in a observation dome car with a 360-degree view of the Canadian Rockies. You also have access to the dining restaurant area, which is the lower level of the train, as you can see here. And all of your meals are freshly cooked and prepared. Instead of it being at your seat, it'll be in the dining car. And I should mention, folks, for both Silverleaf service and Gold Leaf service, both non-alcoholic and alcohol beverages are included when you ride on board the Rocky Mountaineer. But another great observation I should mention, folks, is the viewing platform area. This is only available for Gold Leaf passengers. And for Gold Leaf passengers, they do have access to this viewing area, platform area, where they can get some great pictures, videos without the glare of the dome car. And also they can be able to kind of get that fresh alpine air as they're traveling through the Rockies. But also, folks, it's very similar to the Silverleaf. You have your own local guide that will talk about the points of interest, as well as stop for local wildlife. That's all going to be provided for by the Rocky Mountaineer staff. And then once you arrive into Banff, we of course have you stay in Banff National Park for 2 nights, and you'll be able to explore the gem of the Canadian Rockies. One of my personal suggestions, and as well as what's one of our sightseeing tours included in our packages, is our Banff Gondola ride. Now, folks, for those of you may not be aware, but the Banff Gondola was actually pieced. Some of these pieces were actually locally were sourced from Switzerland. And did you know that actually there were Swiss nationals, I should say, or Swiss people that traveled from Switzerland to actually help Banff National Park become the gem as it is today, to help guide people traveling across the Rockies and actually giving them guided tours and how to climb these steep basically the Alps of the kind of the North America. So it's quite interesting that you'll get to be able to see and meet some local Swiss people that were, brought over from Switzerland over to Canada. So a lot of their families kind of get back, kind of seen this date back to like the mid 1800s. So this is all provided by the Canadian Pacific Railway, which is, kind of a historic railway system that is kind of taken over by Via Rail today. But another great experience we definitely recommend is going to be our Lake Minnewaka cruise. That travels right along Lake Minnewaka, which is kind of that nice scenic lake cruise, kind of like Lake Maligne, but in Banff National Park. And for those who are traveling for leisure and kind of want to be able to relax, I highly recommend checking out the hot springs in Banff. So be able to kind of soak in the hot springs when staying in Banff National Park. Now, folks, for those who want the ultimate Canadian experience, no look further than you can be able to look at our Ultimate Canada Coast to Coast package. This is a 17-day package starting in Halifax and ending in Vancouver, and you travel through all 8 Canadian provinces. And you get to stop along the way and see those popular destinations such as Quebec City, Montreal, Toronto, Jasper, Banff, and Vancouver. And you get to travel on multiple different train experiences, such as the Vira Ocean train from Halifax to Quebec City. You'll travel on the corridor services from Quebec City to Montreal and to Toronto. And you could travel on the scenic Canadian train from Toronto over to the Canadian Rockies and explore Jasper and Banff National Park, and then continue further out west to Vancouver. So all of those sightseeing experiences that we talked about prior and throughout the presentation, and that guided sightseeing tour I forgot to mention, folks, traveling from Jasper to Lake Louise and Banff, that is going to be our Glacier Skywalk tour, which is good. You can see here, this is the Glacier Skywalk area where you can actually be able to get a buffet lunch included, and a great way for you to be able to kind of explore the Canadian Rockies. And that's all thanks to our Icefields Parkway Rockies Discovery Tour. That's including the Glacier Skywalk tour as well. This is going to be all covered by the Icefields Parkway Tour. This actually lets you travel over through different glaciers. The famous one is going to be Africa Glacier. And so that's a great way for you to be able to get a sightseeing tour and transfer built into one. So I'll pick you up at your hotel in Jasper and take you down to Lake Louise or Banff, depending on which option you're looking to do. Now, folks, I want to ask you one more question before I take this time to answer some questions from you. What destinations are you thinking about for your next vacation, and when are you looking to travel? So I would like to know when you're looking to travel and what destinations are you thinking about for your next vacation. Oh, perfect. Someone already said the Canadian Rockies for 2021. Thank you so much. Keep them coming, folks. All right, we got a little bit of Italy for for 2022. Great, keep them coming. Great, Canadian Rockies in 2022. Thank you so much, folks. Keep them coming. I'd love to know what you're looking to do for either this year or for next year. Greece, awesome. Thank you so much. Keep them coming. Great, great, great. Italy, Germany, wonderful. Keep them coming. I'd love to see your continued responses, folks. Keep on, as those responses are coming in, I just want to say, there's a lot of great rail vacation experiences to travel to with Railbookers, not just Canada and exploring the Canadian Rockies, but we also offer Alaska with Alaska Railroad. So if you want to visit Denali National Park, we could definitely service that. We also offer great luxury train experiences, such as the Venice Simplon Orient Express, the Royal Scotsman. We even do the South Africa Blue Train. You could travel on the Ghan or the Indian Pacific in Australia. We even do Asia, so you could be able to visit Japan. We also offer Russia. I'll get a lot of great rail experiences to travel to this year. Again, the possibilities are endless, I should say. Oh, wonderful. US Rockies in 2021. Great. Keep them coming, folks. Scandinavia, wonderful. And we also offer some great scenic trains in Switzerland too, like the Glacier, the Bernina, and so many great others. So I'm looking forward to continue seeing all of you hopefully on the rail someday soon. So just as a reminder, folks, again, about our maximum flexibility offer, any of our reservations that are booked between now and March 31st, so any new reservation can take advantage of this great offer to make any change to their travel dates or even cancel their rail vacation up to 5 days prior to departure. So again, gives you that reassurance. Now, if I book my reservation, I can still make changes without incurring any change or cancellation fee. And that goes for also any existing reservations as well, folks. So for any reservation that's already been booked with Railbookers or Amtrak Vacations, you too can also take advantage of this great offer and reschedule up to 5 days prior to departure. Again, all fees have been waived, and this offer is only valid between now and March 31st of this year. So just a reminder, folks, why travelers love Railbookers. So we can book any of our rail vacation packages up to 24 months in advance. We provide bucket list experiences for all special occasions such as honeymoons, anniversaries, graduations, you name it. We provide the freedom and flexibility to choose what you're looking to do and where you want to go. Again, the train goes, wherever the train goes, so do we. Taking the train, by the way, as a reminder, is a scenic way to travel. So you get to be able to see all the countryside, you get to be able to see those popular destinations all from the view of the train. Also, you could deposit now and pay later. You could choose any of your own accommodations, either on board the train or for your hotel accommodations, and all of our itineraries are fully customizable. But don't take my word for it, folks. Look at some of our travelers and what they have to say. First and foremost, we'll talk about Jennifer for a second. Jennifer said, using Railbookers made it simple to experience so many different areas and beautiful landmarks all in one trip. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Den C mentioned it took one call to book the perfect itinerary. Railbookers is always our first choice for rail trips. Thank you so much, Den. And Elizabeth RJ mentioned our trip was a success before we even left home. Again, this is not my word, folks. These are actual travelers who experienced a rail vacation with us with Railbookers and continue to do a rail vacation with Railbookers. And folks, so that you know, our upcoming webinars are going to be on February 16th and the 23rd. The 16th webinar is going to be on Switzerland and Italy and beyond with Railbookers. I highly recommend that. Check out, see about some of those scenic trains in Switzerland and Italy. We'll also talk about the onboard, what the onboard experience is like on board those trains and some of those iconic rail journeys with Railbookers and so much more. And folks, this is a reminder, those handouts will be electronically emailed to you after today's presentation. And I want to take this time to answer any questions you may have. So thank you so much, folks, again, for joining today's webinar. And just as a reminder, if you have any questions after today's webinar, please give us a call at 1-888-829-3040. Again, 1-888-829-3040, and all of our travel consultants will be happy to help you and service you for what you're looking for. Also, to call your local travel agent, and that way, of course, we can help set that up for you as well with your local travel advisor that you work with. All right, folks, I'm going to take this time to answer any questions. Let's see if I'm going to pull up my questionnaire box here. Let's see. Let's see here. Barbara Benjamin asks, will this be available to print out parts? A great question. So the webinar will be electronically emailed to you after today's presentation. We don't have, unfortunately, like a printout session of the webinar per se. However, of course, there will be electronic attachments which include maps. We'll also include some other additional material that you can take a look at as well, Barbara. But great question. For more details, if you want, also, you can double check on our website at www.railbookers.com. There you'll see some of the packages that were featured on today's presentation, but great question. Let's see here. Diana Sengen said, sorry, my speakers were not working. Did you cover whether or not the rails are now running? Great question, Diane. If it's okay if you join a little bit later. Just as a reminder, so yes, these trains are actually in full operation right now as of currently, and just unfortunately traveling from the US into Canada is not an option right now. However, we are predicting to see it coming more in the later spring into summer season. But folks, we'll keep you up to date on that. But great question, Diane. And just a reminder, this will be a recorded session, so you'll of course get to check that out as well. Let's see here. Barbara Brenneman asked, are the tours escorted? Great question. So some of the tours are a guided tour experience. So some, like if you do a sightseeing tour with us, that's included in the package. So for example, that Jasper National Park tour with Mountain Lake Cruise, that's actually gonna be a guided tour. However, right now, as most sightseeing tour experiences, they're only filling up to 50% capacity, again, to keep up with social distancing right now. But that is a great question. Yes, some of these tours are escorted. Some of them are not. Some of them are gonna be more independent. So of course, gives you the independence and that flexibility to do what you want at your own pace. Let's see here. Christina Hopper Hernandez asked, could you go back to the ultimate package route and pricing? Absolutely, I can go back to that just a moment. Let me just go back here. Again, that's going to be our Ultimate Canada Coast to Coast. This is our 17-day package starting at $3,849, and it starts in Halifax and ends in Vancouver. Keep in mind, we can do it in reverse as well, Christina. So if you want to start in Vancouver and end in Halifax, no problem. It includes all the stops along the way with hotel accommodations, and sightseeing tours are also included in this package. So let's give you our Ultimate Canada Coast to Coast. And you can also visit this, see this package on our website at www.railbookers.com. And for more pricing, so if you want to look at what the cost would be for upgrading to a cabin for 2 or prestige class on this trip, please contact our local travel consultants. That way we can get you a quote, some information, and some pricing. That way, of course, you know what that trip's going to look like for either this year or for 2022. But great question, Christina. Let's see here. I'm going to go back to my last screen here for a moment. Oops, sorry. Let's see. Anne-Marie Dake asked, you indicated that masks are recommended at this time. Are they not mandatory? Great question. So masks are, when I mean recommended, you are required. That's what it should mention, but it's required to wear masks on board the train at this time, and that's going for both passengers and staff. But great question, Anne-Marie. Absolutely. Let's see here. Diana Stenger asked, no problem, thank you. I'm glad I was able to help. I'm anxiously waiting air travel to open to Canada. I had a booking for this past fall that could not happen. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yes, definitely, please reach out to us. We can at least start requoting that for you as well. So if you're looking to do that, please give us a call. That way we can just get that started for you. No problem. All right, folks, I just want to see if there's any additional questions. Let's see here. Will there be a repeat of today's webinar? Alvin asked. Great question, Alvin Hain. Unfortunately not. This is the last presentation today, and we just reached our final destination, which is the virtual train station stop here. But not to worry, Alvin, there is going to be a recorded session of this webinar. So if you do want to check this out, you can, which will be sent over to you via email. So great question. All right, folks. Well, if there aren't any other questions, please feel free to give us a call at 1-888-829-3040. Again, that's where we can be able to contact our local travel consultants. Therefore, they can be able to help you, give you information and pricing to help plan your next dream vacation by rail, either be with the Canada and the Canadian Rockies or elsewhere around the globe. But folks, I just want to say thank you so much again for joining today's webinar. This is the end of the line, and I hope all of you have a wonderful and train-tastic day. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.